In this episode of the IT Experts podcast, we help you embrace the power of a cultural fit in your MSP. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast, the only podcast to help MSPs scale to 1 million, and if already there, get to 5 and go faster. At the end of the day, isn't it all about building a business that works for you rather than you for it? I hope you enjoy the show. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast. You're probably wondering what on earth embracing a power of a cultural fit actually means. And today we're joined by Jane Matthews, who's an MSP recruitment expert. And we're going to explain exactly what that means, what it means to you, what it means to your team, what it means to your business, and how powerful it can be when we get to this next level of kind of employee engagement and employee and team building. So welcome to the show, Jane. How are you doing today?
Yeah, really well. Thanks, Ian. Thanks ever so much for having me.
No problem. I know you've had a bit of a period of ill health where you've been under the knife with your knees and stuff with the doctors. So luckily, we've managed to get you back into the show. So thanks ever so much for your time and effort preparing and getting ready. Christmas as well. So Jane, culture is a really interesting thing. Well, recruitment is a hard thing for MSPs, right? They just struggle with it all the time. There's either too many people and they're not good enough quality, or there's not enough people, or they don't know what the role looks like. There's a real massive, challenge growing your MSP under recruitment. But today we're gonna go a little bit deeper. We're gonna go a little bit a bit off tangent, and we're going to talk about culture and why this is so important. But just before we get cracking, Jane, do you want to just explain to everybody who you are, what you do, and who you help?
Absolutely. Thanks, Ian. So I'm Jane from Wildcat Careers. It's my own business. Absolutely love it. I help MSPs, as you know. I help them build their teams so they in turn can build their businesses. So what do? I help them recruit their first, second, third line support teams, their network engineers, all those good bits and pieces that go with it, and the cyber guys. Absolutely passionate about growing teams and making sure that the people that I'm putting in are embracing that culture fit, which we're obviously going to talk about, to making sure that they get the right people for their team to grow it and continue to grow it in the right way.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks, Jane. So look, let's have a little chat before we get into the meat and the bones of it. We come out of COVID, everyone's went completely remote. Now we've got a bit of hybrid. Now we've got people who are calling people back into the office for a certain period of time during the week. Some people are staying remote. What's your kind of take on where we've been and where recruitment's going, particularly for MSPs? Is there too many candidates? Is it a candidate market? Is it an employee market? What's your kind of barometer? What's the weather forecast for 2024 when it comes to recruiting?
So the weather forecast for 2024, I love that, Ian. It's fantastic. No, in this show. So. No, it's good. I love it. Love the enthusiasm. So I really do think, we've gone through COVID. We ended up with, the world falling off the side of the world, really. People falling off the side of the world, jobs falling off the side of the world. We then switched to, it then becoming very much an employer market, should I say. And then we switched again to being an employee market. When things started to pick up because there were too many jobs, not enough people. I would say for 2024, I'm seeing at the end of 2023 where we are now, there is pretty much a mixed bag. It's starting to settle out. It's starting to become level as level as it can ever be in this world. And I really do feel that it is now about making sure that what the employer is offering is in line with what the employees are expecting. And there are certain different generations you've got to think about as well. The younger generation who've been through COVID are quite insular, don't necessarily have the same skills that someone of my generation or your generation. I don't know which generations are in. I'm 45. How old are you, Ian?
How old do you think I am?
I don't know. I'm 45.
I'll get to that sort of level on the podcast.
We are, yeah, already. But, you know what I mean, though? I mean, the point being is that, I don't know about you, but I was brought up to graft. And that was it. Unfortunately, from no fault of their own, that a younger generation have been behind closed doors, in quarantine, basically, going out once a day, etc. Their communication skills have changed because they haven't had what we had, which was going into the office, having all that, learning from other people, listening to other people, having that collaboration. So there is a need for the younger generation to have that, I believe, but there's also a need for companies to embrace the hybrid model of it, because that is very, very much what I hear all the time, regardless of what generation the person is in, because we know we can work remotely from lockdown, and it's worked. It's not been ideal whilst we were doing it, but we've proved to the world that we can do it. It's very important for people to do a hybrid model. You're going to win more of the creme of the creme of the pool of people that are out there. If you do that, if you don't do that and you want people in, and I totally understand that, you are, depending upon location as well, going to reduce that pool of passive and active candidates. It's as simple as that. So for me, that's really important. That's what I'm seeing out there. Remote, the older you get, more people want remote just because it fits around their life. The younger model, yes, hybrid, but making sure maybe they're in the office definitely more days than they're not in the office. But it's about recruiting that right person and getting that culture fit right, to having that trust. And once you get the culture and your values right within your business, then you can make sure that you've got those people that are matching those, that'll then bring those people in to ensure that you can trust them.
So when we talk about culture, we're talking about, how the business behaves and believes, and that's kind of lines up as well with the vision, the mission and the value of the business. But it also lines up with the values and the culture of that individual as well, doesn't it? Why is this important? Why is it important first of all, for a business to define their culture? And then how do we then find the right people with that right cultural fit? How do we identify them? So why is it important for businesses to bother with this stuff?
Staff retention, creating a lovely place, getting the most out of your staff. And most out of your staff means the most out of your staff, which will look after your clients, which will then help your business grow, as you know, Ian. Yeah. So it's really important. And what people think is that they can create a culture. You can create a culture, but culture almost also happens naturally as well. So there's two elements to it. So if you roll it back to values, values being, enduring beliefs that guide an individual and a client's, an organisation's, success. So, but values have to come from the business owner or the people at the top, but they can't just be anything. It can't just be what they fancy them being. And I see that happen sometimes. Okay. And I'm sure you probably see that happen as well. Yeah. So, for instance, what I mean by that, just so our listeners can understand it, is that if, for instance, you said that you're environmentally friendly, but then you drove around in a Ferrari, well, that's not really your value.
Hang on. Ferraris could be quite environmentally friendly.
Do you think?
We probably don't want to go on that, but I'd say that a Ferrari would probably be more environmentally friendly than a Tesla. But I'm going to cut that out there.
Let's not get on that soapbox.
Then half the people who drive Teslas, but that's a whole another theory and a podcast. I think I know where you're going with this sustainable. If you threw away and you didn't recycle, maybe you could use that on the car analogy. Someone really told me to say that to wind me up. But I get your point. Try to see if you can get back on track from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's making sure that those values match the business owners, what the business owner believes in. If somebody wants really good communication, if that's something that's really, really, special to them and important to them, then that's going to be one of their values. It's as simple as that. If that's what they're expecting from their clients, that's what they should be expecting from their team, from themselves. So that kind of boils down to once you've got your values, then you can have a look at the culture. And the culture within an organisation is all about not having a load of lemmings that are the same people, But having people that
explain what lemmings are for the younger listeners. Sorry.
That's all right. Little Lemmings. Do you remember the little game? So Little Lemmings were a little game on a PC a very long time ago. Gosh. And they were they were just little people, weren't they? That used to try and basically stop them dropping off the side of the cliff. And they all followed each other to do so.
It was all a long queue, and they followed each other, and it was a really crazy. If you look at it now in terms of a game, probably most people who look at it and going, "That's not a game. That's just like some sort of weird thing."
Boring as well, probably.
Basically, people followed people was the impetus on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So yeah, you don't want a load of people the same. Basically, you won't have a load of people the same, but you'll have people that are all working towards the same vision and the same goal. And it's one of those things that culture is quite a hard thing to explain. I think for a lot of people, including myself today, clearly.
No, and do you know what? I love this topic because this for me is how you turn a team into a high performing team. You don't. It's the same with any team, whether it's a football team, whether it's a sports team, whatever team it might be. What we say this quite often in the Growth Hub is what got you here is not going to get you there. So it's a case of looking at your team. It's a case of looking at how do we upgrade the team. And we've, we strongly believe in creating a good company and clear company vision, mission, culture around business for all businesses. And we're only a smallish business, but we've even done the same and recruit our team around that as well. But the question is, and I love this question because it really throws people out, and it's not designed to throw you out. But how do you measure culture? What does for people who are listening to this today, they're going, yep, I get it. I want it. Where do I buy it from? How do I do it? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Which is kind of like, it talks about that. It's something you line it around your beliefs. How would an MSP business owner sit there, look across his team, look across his business and know what a good culture, what a mediocre culture and what a bad culture looks like? How would it show up in the day-to-day life?
It's a really interesting question, isn't it? Because from an outsider's point of view, I find it quite easy to walk into a company and see what the culture is. But for somebody, when you're actually inside the business and it's your business and you're looking at it, it's very hard to see, most of the time what others can see. It's that whole, looking out the window, looking in the window side of things. So for me, it's really understanding the people in the team that you've already got, the existing members. What are their pluses, and what makes them a really good team member, and almost taking all those different people and pulling out what makes them good from a behavioural point of view, and then looking at your best team member and having a look at what makes kind of almost shows them apart from the rest of the team. And then that is what you want to instill. And that's what you then want to get within everybody.
So how they behave around customers, how they solve issues, how they communicate with people, how they get on with people and how they, and a lot of the time with MSPs, it's about fixing stuff. So do they just try and fix it and then go, no, it didn't work. Right, it's your problem now, and pass the ticket on to someone else? Or do they say, do you know what, I'm struggling a bit with this, can I have a hand? I think I'm on the right lines, but I need a little bit of a hand. It could be on the help desk or on a project or something like that. So I guess in a transverse, or on the opposite to that, if you've got people who are packing up and making sure they're ready on time to go home at 5 o'clock, they take their full lunch out, if not a little bit longer. Don't help. Any other negative kind of things that come out there?
It's the kind of, do you want a plodder or do you want somebody who wants to excel? Yeah, plodders are good in certain elements. So you've got your desk. If you don't want a desk that, for me personally, what I always advise, MSPs is basically when they've got a desk is to build their desk with people, use the desk as first line support. Obviously, that's what we're talking about. That desk then grows. You get the people that you build within that desk being first, second, third line. You've then got those people then that can go out and do projects, etc. But it's identifying.
This is really interesting, Jane. So Because what we're actually saying here is that the cultures, the behaviours, and you're saying that you want everybody to be the same, which is absolutely, right, or as well as you can be from their behavioural point of view. But what we're not talking about here is we want everybody to be the same from their skill set and their experience point of view. That's a completely different thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. So you've got a tech stack when you do it, and you've got a behavioural stack. That's the way I look at it. And it's a really good way to explain it to MSPs, because obviously you get it. But getting the behaviour sometimes out of somebody in an MSP when you say to them, it's a behaviour stack and what's the tech stack, you can reel off the tech stack, absolutely no problem at all. But then they struggle with what's the behaviour stack because that's not their mindset. So it's moving that mindset to go, right, how can I talk to you in a way that you're going to understand what behaviours mean? So then it's me saying, so are they chatty? Do you want someone chatty? Do you want somebody who's good communicator? Do you want someone who will roll their sleeves up? Do you want someone who will get stuck in? Do you want someone who will go the extra mile? And then obviously the tech stack, they can reel that off to their heart's content, probably too much sometimes, and have massive expectations. But we call that the golden unicorn, and we love the golden unicorn.
It's a happy place, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the things that MSP business unit owners can do to create a positive culture? And I love that behavioural stack thing. You might steal that. You might see that on a webinar soon.
I love it.
But what does an MSP do to create a positive culture in their business?
They have an open door policy.
Nice, yeah, like that.
Very much so. Have a situation.
Tell them that they've got an open door policy.
Yeah, don't just say we have an open door policy in our business, and then that's all we ever say about it. No, it's reminding people that going over and seeing how people are getting on is integrating themselves into the everyday and being interested in what people are doing, not just within work but also outside of work. So you get that chatting going on, you get that freedom, you get that comfortable feel to be able to approach that person who owns that business, because you think about it from that person who's working in that business, it's, that person must be really busy. I can't possibly go to them. That happens quite a lot. But if you take the time to then, as a business owner, go and talk to them, they realise that you've got time for them, basically. So it's obtaining that side of it.
Okay, so that's really cool. And as you say, it's kind of walking the walk, and the shadow of the leader is a really important element here for not only the business owner, but also the business leader. Let's talk for a minute about the kind of the third part of this, which is around you've got a good culture in place, but how do you, and you've got some great people in place, but we're now going into high performing, training and development, personal development plans for some of your A players. I think we'll call them the A players, the key members of the team. And how do you nurture and grow that talent from within so that they feel even more secure to go kind of above the extra mile, so that they will go and do their CompTIA certificates, and they will go and do their Microsoft certificates, and they will, start to lead teams? Because not everybody who's a great technician is going to make a great service manager.
Absolutely.
It's all about that cultural fit. But the people who are showing and exhibiting those leadership traits, and you want to develop that, what can the MSP business owner do to encourage and nurture that to help them grow? It's
ensuring that they know what they want. It's, from my point of view, when I actually speak to an awful lot of candidates, when I'm looking for people for different roles, a lot of the reason why people are leaving is because they're not getting the opportunities that they want. They're feeling like they are stuck because no one's ever actually asked them, what do they enjoy doing? So if you can see somebody you have this thing where people do this thing in business whereby just because somebody's doing really well doesn't necessarily mean they're happy. Yeah, they can be doing it. You know what I'm saying, Ian? But if you talk to them, just because they're good at what they're doing doesn't mean they want to be pigeonholed doing that.
So is what you're saying then, by doing regular one-to-ones, and I can hear all the clients who shy away from this right now, and all the people who think this is an absolute load of baloney. So is what you're saying then, Jane, that by doing regular one-to-ones to make them feel loved and connected to your vision as your growth plan, and their development, and answering any needs, and probably getting some innovation as well, is a good idea?
Yes, and it really is, believe it or not. I it's amazing, isn't it? The stuff that you talk about works. Who knew?
It's so funny. We talk about one every single week in the Growth Hub. And people, when people get it and they do it and they dial up their energy, because it's not their happy place to go and have a conversation that's not terribly tangible to start with their employees. It's like, what's the point of this? Why do I need to do this? Oh my God, this is a waste of time. But when they do it, they go, oh my word, the things I've learned now from my team, because I'm talking to them at a deeper level. You're understanding what's going on at home. If they want to share that, they don't have to share that. And then how they can then go, oh, would you be interested in looking at this new technology or this new? Yeah, go on then. It's like, oh my God, it's just light bulbs go on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And for those who are listening, who are guilty of this, going, yeah, I should be doing that. Just be consistent. Just be consistent. Out there and just every month, or do it monthly. Every month, sit down 5-10 minutes. Even if,
doesn't take long.
No, it doesn't, and that's how we kind of build that connection and lean into to help them to scale and grow.
Absolutely, it's being consistent, and you're so true. You can't just do something once and then think that it's going to change the world. You need to be consistent. It's like you say, those sort of 5-10 minute chats.
Okay, so just before we close down and ask Jane for a quick summary on what we've learned today, which has been a brilliant show, absolutely loved it. I just want to connect you guys back to another podcast that we did, episode 143, about how to get more out of my MSP team, where we shared with you some kind of golden nuggets on which lines up with today's show, on how to help people perform better, how to help people be happier in their roles, and how to help you get aligned with what their KPIs are. So look, the opportunity of getting this culture thing out of the box, on the table and active in 2024 is great, because it's going to help you to connect, align and engage your teams much, much better than they are at the moment. And that team is going to be the team that's going to help you lift up and help you to support your growth plans and drive the business forwards. Jane, thanks ever so much again for your time in preparing and having a good crack and a good giggle and passing out loads of information to the MSPs on the show today. Give us your top 3 tips. What's the 3 things that MSPs need to be focusing on in 2024 to really bring their culture out, to help nurture it, to help build their businesses, to lift them up?
Yeah, sure, of course, Ian. So it's really taking the time to understand who you've got in your team to start with.
Yep.
Doing that list about what are their behaviours, so that behaviour stack. It's then making sure that you're doing the one-to-ones that Ian always talks about. So important, otherwise you will lose your staff, sadly. And it's making sure that therefore then you're looking at the superpowers within your team and making sure that you really are playing to their superpowers, obviously in line with your business goals.
Fantastic. Thanks ever so much. And just before we shoot off, Jane, do you want to just explain to people, if they want to continue the conversation with you about how to get the right people, maybe you can help them find the right people for them. How can people get in contact with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ian. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Jane Matthews. You can find me on LinkedIn through Wildcat Careers. You can find me through Ian, obviously. Absolutely. I'm also on Facebook as a business, obviously. But yeah, just reach out. Email address is jane@wildcatcareers.co.uk.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. Well, look, wishing you and the business every success in 2024. Thanks once again. And I look forward to catching up with you guys on the next show. See you later and take care. So I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, I'd love it if you could leave a rating and review on your favourite podcast platform. If you want to learn more about how to take your MSP to $1 million, or if you're already there, go faster, then come and join Stuart Warwick and myself in the Scale with Confidence Facebook group. The link is in the show notes. You go and enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.